Oh, don't do it, you son of a gun. Don't do it. Oh, he was gonna get me. Come on, Ruby. This way. Ruby. What is it? As close as you're getting. So yesterday, Cedar just noticed that the little baby chick that little broody hen's been raising up for the last week or so has disappeared, and also another chicken has disappeared. And I came out here the other night to feed, saw a skunk. The skunk startled me. I ran inside, skunk took off. I set a trap. I caught the skunk. It's good to catch the predator that's going after the chickens, but there's nothing worse than dealing with a skunk, to be honest with you. Oh, don't do it, you son of a gun. Don't do it. Oh, he was gonna get me. The smell that comes from a skunk when you're up close is so different than the smell of a skunk when you're a long ways away. Burns your eyes, makes me slightly queasy. Okay, we got that problem taken care of, although for the next couple of weeks it's gonna smell like a skunk over here. Ruby's having a fit. Ruby thinks she's doing her job, but now because we have our front yard, Ruby and Willie can't get out and get sprayed by a skunk, so this is good. You good dogs. Just those legs. Keep him under the leg because he's going to try and kick a little bit. They like this rock. I think the rock is not only a little safe spot, but I think it radiates heat. So almost every deer that I've ever found is usually right around this rock.
The babies?
Mm-hmm. There you go. It doesn't matter. You just kind of watch them legs. That gets you in the sweet spot if you're not careful. Oh! There we go. Before I start working on the big deer pen, I want to finish up all the fencing around Cedar's garden. One of my beautiful wife Cedar's favorite things to do this time of year is simply work in the garden, and it's one of my favorite things to do as well. But there's no point in having a nice garden if you can't keep the chickens out. I'm trying to fill in the gap between the fence and the ground with a little bit of dirt to try and keep the chickens out and the dogs in, but I'm also trying to control where the water is going to flow around the side of our house like it does every spring as the snow melts. One of the things that I've had to learn over the last 9 years is how to live my life with the seasons. And the way you live your life with the seasons is you look forward to doing things like gardening when the sun is out. When it's cold and you're dealing with snow, these are the things you think about, being outside, enjoying the beautiful weather. We both love to garden, and it's time to get real serious about it. Because I'm currently moving dirt around up on the hill for the deer pen, I have access to the best topsoil a guy could possibly need. I might have to pick a few sticks and maybe a few rocks out of the topsoil, but it really is about as good as you can ask for. Because there's always a potential to have ridiculous amounts of snow sitting on the front and the back of our house, we have to have a place for that snow to go once it melts. The drainage around our house has always been incredibly important, and what I'm doing right here, adding the dirt to the front of the garden, should raise it up enough to where the water can go by the fence without messing with the garden a whole lot. I think I'm going to rebuild all the garden boxes and maybe even put some sprinklers in around here. But my new goal for this garden is to make it exceptional in every way that I can. My dad was an avid gardener, mostly because he had to be, raising a large family on a school teacher's salary, but also because he grew up on a farm and a ranch, and it was commonplace to have a garden close by. My dad was also a beekeeper for most of my childhood growing up, and my brothers and myself were always given the opportunity to help when it came time to rob the hive and get the honey for the year. And between the vegetables that came out of the garden and that homegrown honey, let's just say you don't get those kind of tastes and flavors from a store. You get them from your backyard. The elevation right here at the house is somewhere around 5,500 feet. So because of that, we're probably going to have to put a greenhouse in at some point. But before I start worrying about a greenhouse and where I'm going to put it in relation to the garden, I need to take care of the basic stuff first. And moving some dirt around is step one. So all of the dirt that I'm moving around ultimately is raising the garden up, but it's controlling where the water's going to flow when the snow melts. The long-term goal is to get all this in grass so it doesn't erode as the water runs over it. The amount of water that can come off the side of our mountain during the spring snowmelt can really be scary at times, and there's only so much of it that I can control. But it seems that after living full-time up here for the last 6 years, there are some things that I can do to help the water get down the hill without doing any more damage than it has to do. By the way, my German short-haired pointer Ruby is not currently very happy with me because her new life locked up in the front yard is not as fun as her old life was. But if you take a good look at her, you can tell that she's probably gained a couple of pounds since I put the fence around the front yard. Well, most of the new mountainside trail is ready for fencing, but before I start setting posts and stretching fence, I want to finish up a little bit more up here on the top, where I need to widen the trail out just a little bit. For the last few weeks that I've been using my excavator, there's been some sort of a fuel issue going on, and I thought it was a fuel filter. I changed the filter out and I'm still having the same issue, which means I now need to bring the excavator down to the house where I can actually do some work on it. So before I start setting the posts, I need to get the excavator figured out, but in the meantime, I still have another 100 posts that I have to treat. At some point when I have more time, I'm going to spend a day or two and I'm going to build a real treatment facility for these posts. I have the ideas in my head, I just need to find the time to do it. Okay, I am trying to get some of the last few things finished up on the bump side diesel so it has all of the amenities that I want it to have. One of the things that I want this truck to have is a fuel transfer pump that's hidden inside that toolbox in the back of my truck. And there's not a whole lot of room back there. I'm gonna have to take this apart, make a few minor changes to it, and I'm still not sure if it's gonna fit. So I'm gonna make a couple of minor changes to this pump, and I'm going to see if it fits, see if I can get it to fit, see if I have to, how much I have to modify it to get it to fit. So step one is we're gonna take this guard off that's taking up way too much space. At the moment, the bump side diesel is the only truck that I own that I can drive on a daily basis, but there's still a few things left to do on that truck to get it completely finished up. One of those things is getting a transfer pump in the toolbox tank that is ready to be used. I ordered a pump on eBay for somewhere around $175, but the pump is a little bit too tall, so I'm trying to make a flanged 90 that I can put in between the pump and the tank to get it to sit down low so the lid will close on the toolbox. So using an 1¼ iron pipe 90 and a couple of pieces of steel, if I can weld it up properly, I should be able to make it work. I mean, this pump probably weighs, I don't know, 15 to 20 pounds, and the weight hanging off that 90, I'm tempted to try and figure out how to put a brace or something on the other side of this, but the good news is it's going to work. I was worried that I just spent a bunch of money on something that I wasn't going to be able to use, and this is something that's pretty important. I've had multiple times driving across the state of Wyoming. It's the only time it's ever happened to me was in the state of Wyoming, where you get far enough in between gas stations that if you don't have a bed tank like this, you're asking for problems. So every truck I've had since then, I've tried to have a bed tank in. Plus there's a million other reasons to do it. Fueling up equipment, all that kind of stuff. There's always a reason to have a bed tank. And I love that I can now keep this hidden. I've got to weld this up as best as I can with my little 110 buzz box, but the truth is this has a vacuum on it and it's not pressurized. But there's going to be some residual fuel in there, and the last thing I want is it to be leaking in the top of the toolbox. So I'm going to weld this up as best as I can, and we'll see if she's got any leaks. Because this fitting isn't actually under a whole lot of pressure, precision welding is not necessarily required, but I still need to weld this up in a way where there's not going to be any residual diesel in the top of my toolbox. I nearly set this whole pump kit aside thinking I would need to save it for another project, but the more I thought about it, the more I convinced myself that with a little bit of fabricating I should be able to create something that will make this pump sit down below the lid of the toolbox and still work the way that it's supposed to. Okay, I've got it all wired up. I've got everything done. It's been drying for probably 2 hours, so the RTV should be good. I may need to add another 5 gallons to the tank. I set that tube about 1/4 inch off the bottom. But let's find out if we got her done right here. That thing is pumping some fuel, 20 gallons per minute, I would assume. I'm going to add another 5 gallons to this so it's not drawing air up off the bottom, but this thing's good to go. The only thing I'm not crazy about is this switch. I may put a switch in between the pump and the battery to have an auxiliary shutoff inside the cab. But this thing's good to go. I can close the lid, which is the most important part. And like I said, I'm going to add another 5 gallons of this, and then this thing's ready to go. The main thing, you can't tell that there is a transfer pump in the tank, and that's what I was going for. So, job done.